We have enough to call the meeting to order. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. We have a public hearing this evening. Could I ask our corporate officer to take us through the legalities?
Thank you, Mayor Sager. Council is convening this public hearing to consider and receive submissions regarding proposed official community plan bylaw number 4985-2018, amendment bylaw number 5355-2024, and proposed zoning bylaw number 4662-2010, amendment bylaw number 5353-2024 to provide various corrections, clarifications, and improvements. Anyone who believes their interest in property is affected by the proposed bylaws will be heard and or may make a written submission, either in person or via email to correspondence@westvancouver.ca. No one will be discouraged or prevented from making their views heard. Council members may ask questions of you following your presentation, but Council's function during this public hearing is to listen to the views of the public, not to debate the proposed bylaws. After the public hearing is concluded, Council may, without further notice, give whatever effect Council believes proper to the representations. Your only opportunity to comment on the proposed bylaws is during the public hearing. Council is not permitted to receive further submission once Council has closed the public hearing. Council has received documents which are available for the public to view. A hard copy of these may be obtained from the corporate officer during the public hearing. These documents can be viewed online at westvancouver.ca/news/notices. Please note that these copies of the documents do not include any items received after noon today. To maintain order and to ensure everyone has an opportunity to be heard, here are the rules of procedure. A speakers list has been established. For those attending in person, you may place your name on the list at any time throughout the public hearing. If you're speaking from prepared remarks, Council requests a copy be provided to the corporate officer. To participate via WebEx, please phone 604-925-7004 and provide your name and telephone number to staff, who will add you to the speakers list. When it is your turn to address Council, staff will allow you to unmute your microphone and turn on your webcam in order to provide you with your public input opportunity. Please note that staff will not be in a position to provide you with a specific time slot when you register to speak, so we ask that participants who wish to address Council be available for the duration of the public hearing. Council requests that you please begin your remarks by providing your name and municipality of residence. If you're speaking on behalf of some other person or organization, Council requests that you please identify the name of that person or organization. Please limit your remarks to 5 minutes and to the subject of the proposed bylaws. Please be respectful to others. After everyone has spoken once, you will have an opportunity to speak subsequent times to provide additional information if you wish. Please follow the process outlined above to be re-added to the speakers list. If you have any concerns about the rule of the hearing, please address your comments to the chair. Mayor Sager, I'll just go on for a quick moment to let everyone know that we have received a staff report on this topic. We have not received any written submissions regarding this public hearing. Council set the date for this public hearing on December 9, and our statutory notices were in the North Shore News on January 15 and 22.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ms. McGuire?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. There's no formal presentation. We did give a presentation at the time when Council gave first reading to the bylaws for the zoning amendment bylaw and the official community plan amendment bylaw and set the date for public hearing. But, all the main summary was provided at that stage. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks very much. I'll now turn it over for any member of the public who is with us this evening that wishes to address Council on this public hearing. Is there any member of the public who wishes? Is there anybody on WebEx? No one signed up to speak to this. I'll ask again, is there anyone this evening that has come to address Council on this public hearing? At a final time, hearing none, could I have a motion to close the public hearing? Moved by Councillor Gambioli, seconded by Councillor Thompson. And I'll call a question. All in favor? Contrary, carried. And that's that for that public hearing. So we will reconvene at 6 o'clock for the Council meeting. Thanks very much. Sorry, you came early tonight. Kind of wondering, we didn't expect to see a soul here, to be honest. I'm sorry. Well, it's lovely to see you, and we'll be back soon. Thank you. There's it, here, pass those down. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks very much for joining us this evening. Please be seated. And we trust that while you were waiting for us, you enjoyed looking at our land acknowledgement and the beautiful First Nations art. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and I'd ask for a motion to approve the agenda. Councillor Thompson, please.
Here we go, 1 second.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend that the January 27th, 2025 regular council meeting agenda be approved as circulated.
Thank you, Councillor Snyder. So, discussion, question, all in favor? Contrary, carried. And could I now have an introduction? We're having 4 presentations this evening, and so first of all, I'd like to say thank you to all of you who contribute so generously to our community through each of these organizations, and we're going to start this evening with the wonderful K-Meek Theatre. Melissa, thank you for joining us.
Can you hear me? Yes. It's great to be here. Great to see all of you. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about the K-Meek Arts Centre. As you all know it well. We're the only professional performing arts centre in West Vancouver. We're a not-for-profit standalone society. We're a gathering place for culture and community, and our values are welcoming, learning, leading, and engaging. Before I go to the next slide, I'd just like to point out the top left there is a picture of our 20th anniversary gala that we had in November, and I'll be saying more about that in a moment.
All right, let me try the mouse.
Oh, and I'll also need to introduce my colleague here, Victoria Mendez, who's on the board of directors, and
Thank
she's joining
you.
me. Sorry about that. Sorry, Victoria.
No, that's...
And now we
Colleague,
need, there we go.
Got it.
So just a little bit about governance and management. We have 12 active directors elected by general membership. We have a legacy council that is basically open to anyone who is termed out from the board of directors. So 6 years is the maximum. We have 6 currently on the Legacy Council. They tend to be long-term supporters. And at the moment, we have 7 to 8 full-time staff, 12 part-time staff, and up to 70 active volunteers. Thanks, Victoria. Just a quick event summary of what we've done in this past year. So, I've broken it down here into the various activities. So the first activity is the K-Meek Arts Centre presentations. That's what we are curating and presenting and bringing into the community. And that's multi-genre. So we have concerts, plays, cabaret, dance, speakers, films, all kinds of special events. The other part of our mandate is with our joint use agreement with School District 45. We do presentations on their behalf, and I'm sure you all know about the concerts and theater, etc. But we also do assemblies, talks for parents sometimes, presentations, and PD Day. And today was PD Day, and all the teachers were at the K-Meek from about 8 o'clock this morning. We also have community rentals, which is an important part of what we do. We have commercial rentals, but we also have discounted rentals for community members. So that's for registered charities, not-for-profits, up to 20 to 25% discounts. So those rentals consist of concerts, theater, talks, fundraisers, receptions. Dance schools do their competitions. Music schools do their recitals. All kinds of other special events. Now, we've included here just a little subset of the number of shows that are youth-focused, so that would include everything that SD45 does, also our youth conservatory that goes through July, and every other kind of program that we have for youth, and that works out to 116 for a total of 265 events in our last fiscal. Now, interesting, that's almost 50,000 people we had in the K-Meek, which I think is more than the population of West Vancouver. Yes?
Yes. Just about right on.
Okay, good. So did everyone come at least once? I think so.
However, that's not quite true because we've done some research and we can tell you that about a third of our visitors are from West Vancouver, a third of our visitors are from across the North Shore, so North Vancouver, and another third are coming from elsewhere, mostly the Lower Mainland, of course. Although we did have someone fly in from Edmonton once for a concert this year. Anyways, a quick overview of our 2023-24 revenues, and this is the operating revenues, and as you can see, it's about 1.672 million. Programming and presentations are 40% of our earned revenues. So I've separated their earned revenues, so that's how we're bringing in the revenue. Programming and presentations 40%, rental services 28%. We can all do the math. That's about 2/3 of our revenue, which is coming from what we're presenting, our product. Donations and sponsorships, 13%. The very generous District of West Vancouver service agreement, which we really rely on and we really, really appreciate, that's about 9%. Other public funding, so that's grants, foundations, other applications that we put through for provincial, federal, etc. Municipal, 8%, that rounds us off pretty much to 100. Now, it's only fair that you know about the revenues. We'll talk a little bit about the expenses. That's the next slide. If you could do your math quickly, you can see our expenses were slightly higher last year than our revenues. Our programming expenses, 53%. Administration, now I'd like to say something about the administration. We're a sort of office where, we have people with desks and computers sitting in offices, but almost all of us are contributing to our programming. However, that administration is basically our full-time staff. And then other business expenses, 13. So we're quite pleased with those numbers, but we're always looking to grow. Which brings me up to the meat of the matter here. So this is the last slide, but I'd like to get into a little bit more discussion about our strategy. So at the moment, our business planning is to be prudent and sustainable, but to expand our activities and to reflect the community, and in particular educational activities. And that is to strengthen and diversify revenues. The arts community, like everyone, we've been talking about the pandemic for a long time, but it's still a little bit in flux, and the future is still a little bit uncertain, and we are just continuing to be creative with how we make our funding. Strategic planning, we're looking to increase our visibility, telling our story, improve that customer experience. So whether that's improved concession, Mayor Sager, or, I've been listening. The customer experience from when you walk into the beautiful facility and the whole evening that you have, that customer journey, community engagement and outreach, and as I said earlier, embracing the diversity of our community. I'd like to draw your attention to our Indigenous relations. We've made quite some advances there with Squamish Nation in particular. We were really honored to host in November a film project. They've been working on short films describing their history and storytelling, etc. And they wanted to show those films to the nation. So we offered, as part of Reconciliation, we offered the whole theater open for a day, and there was a big meal down in the McEwen Theater. There were various booths, etc., set up in the lobby, and then Squamish Nation showed themselves their short films. It was a really special night, and I have to say I was really honored to be one of the few people who was actually non-Squamish that was allowed to participate in that. So that was a wonderful event. I'm going to give a shout out. All of these projects I'm describing were set up before we got a very generous grant from the West Vancouver Foundation that's supporting our Indigenous projects. If you were in the KMEEC in November, December, you saw the art exhibit on the top floor in the lobby, which was from the Squamish Nation Archive. There was art in the lower lobby for sale, and I'm thrilled to tell you that $25,000 worth of art was sold from that small exhibit downstairs for Squamish artists, for which we waived our commission. So we're also working on proposals for a welcome figure. If you can, I may have mentioned this last year, but if you can picture the opening, the top floor, the main entrance of the KMEEC, You go in those doors, there's a round sort of space, open space on the left. And we think, and also an Indigenous artist that we invited to look at the space in Greece, it looks like it was made for a welcome figure. So we have already started that process, and we're looking at fundraising will be the next step. Partnerships, building and strengthening all our relationships and presenting partners, whether that be school district, the government, our sponsors and donors, arts organizations, but also I've got a meeting with the Dean of Performing Arts, I can't quite remember the name of the faculty, but Capilano University, for example, expanding our partnership with them, the Vancouver Academy of Music, etc. And then finally, save the best for last, it's our 20th anniversary season. We had a real party in November. Some of you were there. It was a party, right? It was really fun. Yeah. It was meant to be a fundraiser, and it did indeed raise funds. We're quite happy about that. It was meant to be a celebration. I think it was indeed a celebration. And then finally, it was really meant to show off what the K-Meet can do. What a fantastic venue we've all inherited, I've slipped into. And, you know, that we can do classical music downstairs, we can have an elegant, wonderful dinner, we can have a fun reception, and then we ended it all off with, we had the Eagle Song Dancers, and Jens Lindemann and Ian Parker, and then just a great rock and roll band at the end of the evening. So it showed what we can do and where we want to go and what we want to be to the community. So that is my presentation. I'm really happy to hear any comments or questions any of you might have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As you know, I absolutely love the K-Meek Center for historical reasons. K-Meek was a wonderful friend of my mother's, and they both shared a deep passion of music and the arts. Just one little suggestion, because as you may know, I'm running a fundraiser myself there in February. On the 13th, I'll put a little ad out. It'll be a very fun evening. But I just found out there was an event coming up on Thursday this week that's not in your regular program. I guess somebody else has rented the theater and they're bringing a band. But it doesn't come out in your newsletter. It doesn't come out in your email feed.
Correct.
And so I just found out about it today and probably can't go. But if it did come out in your feed, I think you'd find more people would come. And I mean, the goal is to get people into the theater.
Right.
I really suggest if the person throwing the event wants it to go into your news blast, I think you should do that. I mean, the goal is to get people into the theater and
yeah, it's a tricky one for us because sometimes we are in competition with ourselves, if you know what I mean. It can't even be the same night. But I hear what you're saying, and we'll definitely take that back and have a chat about it because I think, yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I mean, it's just, had I known about this event, I think others were like, oh, didn't know it was coming up. Because I get the K-Meek news blast, and that's
right.
What I rely on to decide whether I'm going to go to something or not. Anyway, just a thought. Councillor Thompson. Oh, sorry, Councillor Watt.
Hi. Thank you for the presentation and for all the valuable work that yourself, the Board of Directors, and all the volunteers do. And the gala was fantastic. How much did it raise?
Over $50,000.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. That's great.
Yeah, it was a very fun night.
Yeah.
Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. Thank you. I just actually have some comments, and I have to say, historically, I've always known your group to be really hardworking and adaptive and have a great relationship with our district and whatnot. But recently, you've extended an invitation to council to join your board meetings, and I've had the pleasure of attending too. And I have to say, it's been a tremendous insight and very impressive look at the scope that you guys address in each meeting, the caliber and dedication of each and every board member, what you go through as far as assessing what you've done and completed, whether it's monthly or annually, and the innovative discussion that comes out about how to generate more product and revenue. And I just have to say I'm incredibly impressed and really appreciated being part of that discussion.
Thank you. It's been great. It's been great having you there, and I hope other people are hearing about it too. Yeah,
Yes.
that's great. It's a fabulous board. It really is, and I do tell them that. Although I hope it's not going to their head. But it's a great group of people, and I really feel lucky to be working with them. So thanks for saying that, Sharon.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much. Councillor Gambioli, please.
Thank you. I'm going to wrap up, but just quick question before. I know you've had a tough time over the past year with all the construction at the Place for Sport, but I see all the fences are down and the lines are painted on the parking, and so is everything, and I see the new lighting going up from the big parking lot, so is everything working out okay? It's a little...
It's so much better. I actually just, somebody was telling me on the weekend how great, an older patron was saying how great the lighting is and how much better it is. There's just a few little things to work out, such as, the football players coming into the stage door during performances, and those kinds of things. We still, and some signage issues that we're still addressing. But yeah, no, it's great. It looks great. We've got the parking lot back. So yeah, it's all working out really well. So thanks.
Okay.
Thanks very much. Yeah, the lighting, it's better, I think, than it ever was.
Right.
Right.
Okay,
So
yeah,
that's great.
good. I haven't been there at night yet, so that's great. Okay, great. Thank you for the presentation. So I will recommend that the K-Make Arts Centre annual presentation be received for information with thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Watt, seconded. Question, all in favor? Contrary carried. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
And now we are going to have a presentation from the West Vancouver Community Arts Council.
Can I just do it this way? I think so. Okay. Fantastic.
If it doesn't work, then no, you can't.
Just click.
Usually I use the mouse, but you should be able to use it.
You could just use that one. Super. All right, good. Good evening, Mayor Sager and councillors. I think all of you know me. My name is Jennifer Lord. I'm the executive director of the small but mighty West Vancouver Community Arts Council. And thank you for the opportunity to share our highlights from this past year. Joining me this evening is Board Director Elizabeth Lewis. And we have many of our board members here tonight. I'm going to just ask them to stand up quickly.
Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, I introduced you, Elizabeth.
Hello and good evening. I'm Elizabeth Lewis and on the board of the West Vancouver Community Arts Council. 2024 was a really great year for us and we accomplished so much with really so little. We are working on making 2025 even better and we want to tell you about that. As an arts council, we serve West Vancouver by providing engaging, educational, inspiring arts and cultural programs. People learn, they come and express themselves, and they have fun when they come to the Silk Purse Gallery. Did you know that last year we welcomed over 19,000 people to the Silk Purse Gallery? They came to see our exhibits, participate in the wonderful concerts, learn through workshops, and enjoy the amazing holiday market. And did you know that we have more than 600 members in different membership categories? We have a senior members category, we have an individual members category, we have an alliance group membership, and we've just launched our business membership category last year. So we're working on getting more community engagement through business. We have over 33,000 followers across our social media platforms and tremendous community uptake of our virtual programming. There are 30 group organizations that benefit from access to the Silk Purse so that they too can provide their own unique programs. And there isn't time to tell you about the incredible variety, but I can tell you it's everything from piano recitals to reading groups to quilting bees. So maybe I can tell you about just that one. The Foreshore Quilters Guild is a group that meet once a month at the Silk Purse, and every time they come to do their craft and engage with each other, they are surrounded by a stunning exhibition, and they're in our beautiful waterfront location, and that is something that we provide for the community and a lovely thing to contemplate, I think. Jennifer?
Art inspires, and we have experienced an increased attendance for all our exhibitions, concerts, and community engagement programs. We believe this demonstrates a need and a desire for our community to connect through the arts, connect with their community through the arts. And we provide welcoming gathering places that are, by and large, free. There is no fee to view the vibrant art exhibitions at the Silk Purse Gallery or the Kay-Meek Arts Center, which we also curate, or to experience the First Thursday's Art Walk. And these are wonderful quality exhibitions where we prioritize showcasing the work of North Shore artists. The exhibits are carefully curated with artists selected by a peer jury. And in 2023-24, we presented 21 exhibitions showcasing work by 145 artists. And I'm sure you've heard about our robust volunteer program. Volunteerism is so important when it comes to feeling or belonging, community, and self-worth. We have a roster of over 42 volunteers, from seniors to youth to newcomers, who contribute to the West Vancouver community through us, and without whom we actually could not operate.
Okay, community partnerships. I think we can all agree that community partnerships are incredibly important to the vibrancy of our community. And we participate with many community partners. And on this slide, we see just a couple of those. There's the Plein Air Art Workshop, which is put on in conjunction with the North Shore Artists Guild, so we partner with them. We have the Singing by the Sea, which is put on in partnership with Harmony House, and that is basically, if you don't know about Singing by the Sea, a flash mob community choir that pops up in John Lawson Park, and it is so fun and so well received by the community, and as mentioned, it is completely free. Best things in life. The First Thursday's Art Walk, again, completely free, is a program which is spearheaded by the West Vancouver Community Arts Council in partnership with the West Vancouver Art Museum, the West Vancouver Memorial Library, and the Ferry Building. We began this in 2019, and since then, the attendance at these evenings has quadrupled, so there is plainly a desire and a need for this programming. And then finally, you saw him on the first slide, is our temporary art installation that is every August. This year, we had the Grass Squatch, who was created by North Shore sculptural artist Robert Turriff. If you haven't seen the Grass Squatch, he's still there on the lawn in John Lawson Park beside the Silk Purse Gallery. It was an amazing community engagement. People loved him. It was interactive. People planted the grasses. We saw how it grew and developed over the course of the summer. Now we're seeing it go through fall and into spring. I want to tell you, he is practically viral. So many selfies and group photos have been reposted to Instagram of that fellow. There will be another temporary art installation, of course, in 2025, and I won't spoil it by telling you what it is, but it will be awesome, and I invite you to come down and view it for yourselves. Jennifer?
And then there are our concert series. And to experience music in the presence of others is a truly unique and often transformative experience. The community loves coming to the Silk Purse for our up-close and personal performances in our waterfront setting. They are sold out all of the time. In 2023, we had a total of 47 concerts with over 1,600 audience members. We offer two series, the bi-weekly Silk Purse Concert Series and the Summer Jazz Waves Series, showcasing both up-and-coming musicians and those renowned in their field. And the best part of this extremely budget-friendly activity is it's all available right here without having to cross the bridge. As an Arts Council, we really want to be able to continue to offer all these programs to our community moving forward.
Yes, we do. And the question is, can we?
This is the reality slide.
Yeah. So as you can see, our expenses are slightly over revenue. And the board agreed to approve a deficit budget last year and dip into our, I want to say, minimal reserves to fund that deficit. This is obviously not a sustainable model moving forward, and we know that the budget has to be balanced in 2026. We are currently engaged, the board is, together with Jennifer, in a strategic planning process to identify how we might best serve the community, and by reimagining what we actually can be, obviously within the funding constraints that we face. That said, though, we do thank you, the District of West Vancouver, for the annual core funding that we rely upon and that you so generously provide to us every year.
Thank you very much. That concludes our presentation, and we're happy to take any questions.
Thanks very much, members of council. That was a great presentation, and thank you so much for all of your efforts and everyone who serves on the board. Hope to see you again very soon.
Yes, thank you.
Very soon. Councillor Thompson.
Well, thank you. I'll put the motion on the table, but before I do, you give me pause. You're this small group that does so much for our community and represents such a large group of people at a grassroots level and create this engagement with our community that's really special. And, you know, you can't walk into the Silk Purse and watch a performance and just not be overtaken by it all. It's just so incredibly beautiful, from the setting, the music. And you guys do it all seamlessly. And year after year after year. And I know you work really hard for the stipends you get. But we really appreciate what you do. And I look forward to seeing all your inspiration and things that you'd like to do in the future with our community, because you really do make a difference.
Thank you so
thank you.
much. Thank you. Thank you.
And with that, I'd like to recommend that the West Vancouver Community Arts Council annual presentation be received with gratitude.
Thank you, Councillor Cassidy. Thank you, Councillor Gambioli.
I'm sorry, I sort of did have a question.
Yes,
but,
of course. No, that's fine.
Okay. Just a thought, because myself and Councillor Watt are on the Arts and Culture Committee, Advisory Committee. We've talked for a long time, a year or more, about the arts in general, arts and culture in West Vancouver needing sort of an umbrella organization to do the work to bring everybody on the same page. And so my question to you, when I see the number of members of your organization and your group, the group members and the partner organizations, I see is the beginning of that. And so I wonder if your board has talked about that, or feels they have the capacity to take on if it were to go any further. It seems to me personally that your group is the obvious one that exists at the moment, but I wonder what your thoughts are about your capacity.
I feel that we are absolutely positioned to step into that role. I think it would be, of course, a conversation. Right now we have some actually quite amazing part-time staff members who would love to move into a more full-time role and could certainly fulfill some of the duties and responsibilities that kind of role would require. It just would, of course, be a matter of conversation about how it's supported financially. But I do agree that we already have, in fact, part of the model is already in place, because we have group organizations that we work with. And I know that there's a real interest, certainly from the workshops that were held last summer, of a more overarching or cohesive marketing platform. And we actually have a fairly robust website right now that we could take further. So some of those seeds are already there, and it's just whether, I guess, we want to water them and let them grow.
Agreed. We would love to do it. Love to do it. And I think that we are equipped to take it on with increased staffing needs, obviously, to take on such an undertaking.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Watt.
Yeah, so I certainly agree with Councillor Gambioli, and the idea of duplicating many of the efforts that you're already doing doesn't make a lot of sense. So it certainly seems that you've got the right foundation, networks, and connections to help fulfill that, goal in the overarching art strategy. So, and thank you, wonderful presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Stay tuned. I call the
Thank
question.
you.
All in favor? Contrary carried. Thanks so much. And now we're having a presentation from our wonderful Enhance West Van organization. Thanks very much for joining us this evening.
Can I just use that? Should be able to. I don't know if it worked for the last person, but you're welcome to try. If it doesn't work,
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council, and thank you for having us here this evening to share some of the great work that Enhance West Van did in 2024. I'd like to introduce you to our current board chair, Peter Catavatas, who is going to take us through the presentation this evening.
Thank you and welcome.
All right. Thank you, Jody. Good evening and Happy New Year to everyone. And thank you for the important public service that you all do in the community. I'd also like to acknowledge Councillor Watt, who is our acting council liaison this year and was a huge support in our events, never hesitating to roll up her sleeves and engaging with Enhance West Van over the year.
We saw that at the Pumpkin Fest.
Absolutely. I also want to thank the fellow board members. We have quite a few here today in support, and I think it just shows the dynamic board that we do have, and it's all volunteer and a big part of the community. But we look forward to working with council and soon Councillor Snyder as our council liaison moving forward. So our 2024 support and enhancements included $103,603 in financial support to enhance programs, services, and equipment through the community. 2024, the Society proudly supported enhanced programs for the West Van Community Center, Aquatic Center, and Ice Arena. This funding supported programs like Cancer Thrivers Program, which is a program supporting people who have or are undergoing cancer treatment, the Indigenous Arts and Culture programs for children, youth, and their families. The live music series takes place in the community center and provides the local musicians in our community an opportunity to perform and entertain. Movement Therapy, which is an award-winning program that we've supported for over a decade, provides recreational opportunities like dance, sports, skating, and swimming for kids and youth who require one-on-one support. Also have the Introduction to Hockey program for children with autism, and it runs in partnership with West Van Minor Hockey. We have multiple youth programs that we fund to support youth employment and empowerment in our 2S LGBTQIA+ youth and their allies. The Welcoming and Inclusive Communities program is unlike any other program on the North Shore and provides programs, resources, and outreach to support and connect newcomers in our community. And this year, we've started supporting the Shower program, which is an essential resource to our unhoused community members, and we continue to look for partners and grants and other funders to help collaborate with us in future funding for this service in our community. And we really hope that Council will consider some serious discussions around solutions for our unhoused. These are just a few of the examples of the many programs that we fund and support, and a full list can be found on our website. So since the inception of Enhance West Van in March 2009, Enhance West Van has cumulatively funded just shy of $1.5 million of enhanced services, programs, and equipment at the Community Center, Aquatic Center, and Ice Arena. These are significant value adds to the families and individuals using our facilities without the burden of an additional tax dollars being needed. That's obviously refreshing. The primary goal of these contributions is to build community, bring neighbors together, and enhance people's quality of life. It's worth noting that on an annual basis, whether it's through direct programming, community events, or through equipment funded by us, Enhance West Van touches many thousands of community members' lives. 2024 highlights. Well, as most of you know, Pumpkin Fest is our largest event of the year, and 2024 was another successful year. Pumpkin Fest drew a crowd of over 5,000 people and raised $37,000 net which exceeded last year's net earnings. It's important to note that this event is entirely driven and supported by community volunteers. We had 130 volunteers who collectively logged over 300 hours of work. We were able to showcase local talent with many of our West Van school groups performing on our live stage. And the Ambleside Tiddly Cove Lions Club and the West Vancouver Fire Department cooked up and served hot dogs for the event. Awney Group and Collingwood School were our gold sponsors this year. However, we had many amazing local businesses who continue to support Pumpkin Fest each year and were so showcased during the event. It really was the community all coming together on a beautiful sunny day. And we hosted 2 Forum for Dialogue and Learning events last year. These events are free to the community and are intended to bring people together to connect, learn, and engage on emerging topics of interest. In the spring, we partnered with the Canadian Health and Fitness Institute, held a forum on the medical benefits of exercise. And this past fall, we hosted a sold-out forum on artificial intelligence, which included our local West Van Police Department as one of the presenters. The Lunar New Year event that we support each year was also extremely well attended in 2004. And this past December, we also hosted our annual Pancake Breakfast event at the Community Centre. It's a free pancake breakfast for the community with a special visit from Santa. And going forward for our 2025 priorities, we really focus on the community, inclusivity, collaboration, and sustainability. And this year we have some exciting things on our work plan, including revising our organization's strategic plan and hosting a donor appreciation event in early March. You've all received your invitation, and make sure you don't ignore it in your inbox. We'd love to see you there. Finally, our board will continue to advocate for the future of the civic site and the facilities that serve our community. In doing so, we have been and will continue to focus on the Emerging Vision Concept Plan with a focus on Phase 1, which would include the development of a new ice arena, which is decades past its original expiry date and is always running at maximum capacity. Enhance West Van fundamentally believes that our facilities should be a place where everyone feels welcome and feels a sense of community. We want to continue to foster our relationships and connections in the community and look towards a sustainable future for our organization. We thank you all for giving us this opportunity to speak this evening, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, and thank you to all and all of your board members and volunteers for this wonderful work on behalf of the community. Councillor Watt.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for all you guys do, and I am truly going to miss the honor of working with you, with all of you on the board. The work you do is unbelievably, just you provide, I'm a little lost for words right now, I'm sorry, but the services you provide and the caliber of people on that board and the other volunteers, we're just so fortunate as a community to have you. Thank you. I'm going to miss working with you. But I'm still here.
Councillor Cassidy, I'll bet you they'll get you to volunteer again at Pumpkin Fest. Because you were so good with the
Can
little
I still
animals.
flip pancakes if I show up and pet the bunnies? Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Cassidy, please.
Hi. So thank you very much again for everything that you do. I'm just curious about the Pumpkin Fest, and I'm wondering if you are concerned about becoming the victim of your own success. Which is, an admirable thing in a way to be. But you said that your attendance was up 14%. And so I'm curious if the increasing numbers might be a turnoff to people who otherwise would have attended.
Well, I think in the past year, we really focused on opening it up and streamlining things so that we didn't have the bottlenecks we had the previous year. The weather was fabulous. Mm-hmm. That also helps. We've had rainy Pumpkin Fests in the past, and it was well under 5,000 on those days. So we are dependent on weather. That's part of it. But we definitely have an eye to keeping it friendly and safe and fun for everyone.
Okay, great. Would you ever think of doing it in a second day? Another weekend? Like 2 weekends?
No.
Like a Saturday and a Sunday?
It's just so much work that goes into it from the early morning to the late day.
Yes.
When it's done, we're done.
You're done.
For
All right.
11 and a half months. We
Okay.
need that reprieve.
And again, I do know it's extremely successful, so thank you and congratulations. So my second question is, what's the attendance at the pancake breakfast, which is also a big hit? What's the attendance there, please?
You know what? I don't have a number for you, but I will say this year we did see a decrease in attendance only because we had a pool closure during the month of December, or for some weeks in December. Unfortunately, the pancake breakfast was during that time, but we were able to still draw people who were coming from the ice arena, the gymnastics center, and people who are going to the fitness classes. So we still had a great attendance. We didn't have the crowds that we've had in the past years, but usually it's hard to get a seat at the table. We try to move people along as they have a pancake. It's not meant to like stay there for the whole 2 hours, like have breakfast and then move on for other people to find spaces. It's usually really, really, really well attended. And
I
even
know
this
that,
year, it was fabulous. It just was a little, we could move around a little easier.
Okay, so going back to the Pumpkin Fest, in days of old, I was the liaison, and they had a dance at night. Do you still have the dance, or no?
No, we
Okay,
don't.
may I ask why?
We had burnout from our volunteers, the capacity to run a 2-day event.
All right.
It was so much work for setting up the dance and then having to take it down that evening to set up for a whole different event the following day. So it was decided back in, I think it was 2018, to move away from the dance and focus on the actual day of Pumpkin Fest event. Because we lost so many volunteers due to burnout. So we just didn't have the capacity within our volunteer community to keep the event as large as it was, the 2-day event.
Okay, I have one more question. Just one more, I promise. And have there been any thought, or do you already do it, have, youth dances?
We don't host youth dances. Youth Services offers the preteen dances out at
They do?
Gleneagles Community
Oh,
Center that are
Gleneagles.
very, very well attended.
Yeah, but Gleneagles for a lot of people is a long, long, long way. When you're looking at the Ambleside and Dunderave neighborhood, and you get a lot of parents who wouldn't necessarily want to drive out to Gleneagles to drop their child and pick their child up. Just wondering if it's been a thought, and obviously another moneymaker. But thank you.
You see, Councillor Cassidy is she's thinking into the future because she's got 3 new grandchildren. And
Right.
5 grandchildren in total, but
Under
3
5.
Under 5. So she's thinking about what she can do and help with the family. Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, thank you. You made mention to the shower program, and you didn't say a lot more about it. I'm just wondering if you can give a little more insight on, where you've been with it, where you'd like to go with it. Any more insights to offer?
Sure. So the shower program started during the pandemic, and it has historically been funded by grants. Unfortunately, some of those grants are not available to apply for anymore. They're no longer, the funding isn't there. So Enhance West Van is committed to keeping the program going. We are looking to other partners in the community to help fund the program, and we are constantly looking for grant opportunities to help to sustain the program, because it's just not sustainable through just the funding through Enhance West Van.
So you run it every day?
No, the program runs 3 days a week, 4 days a week, I think.
Okay.
And it is really an essential program now in the community, and we do see that majority of the people who are attending the program are seniors in our community.
And do you have an idea of numbers?
I do, but I don't have them on me. I'd have to send them to you.
Do you have an idea of costs? How much money?
It costs around $20,000 a year to run the program just for staff costing. And then probably an additional $15,000 for supplies and care kits. So those are meals, transit passes, and then care kits that are provided that have like mittens and just emergency stuff to survive for these people. And so it's the program really is an essential program in our community.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very
Provide
much.
those kits as well to the West Van Police Department. And
So-
then
sorry?
The West Van Police Department helps distribute those kits as well.
Yeah, a few of our other community organizations distribute the care kits as kind of part of the outreach.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Councillor Snyder.
Actually, I was going to make a motion, but I see that
Yes.
Councillor Watt, so if you'd like to make another comment. I was actually also going to just confirm that with Councillor Cassidy, Eagle Harbor is not a long, long way away.
Confession, I grew up in Eagle Harbor.
So you
And I
go.
went to UBC. And when I was young and charming and hoping to attract, I was known as a GU, geographically undesirable. So I do have an issue.
Oh, Councillor Cassidy, you're leaving yourself wide open on that one. Councillor Watt.
Well, this geographically undesirable did make it to this council meeting tonight, and I'm thrilled that it seems that you have a new rah-rah coordinator here who is going to be wanting to get the dances and extra pumpkin days going, so that's fantastic. And I'm thrilled that Councillor Snyder is taking over as the liaison, and I think you'll quite enjoy each other.
Indeed. Councillor Snyder, could I ask for a motion, please?
Yeah, well, I am looking forward to it very much, and I've heard wonderful things from Councillor Watt, so I'm very much looking forward to this year and working with you all as the year progresses. On that note, I'd like to recommend that the Enhanced West Vancouver annual presentation be received for information with much thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Watt. Thank you. I'll call a question. All in favor? Again, sincere thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
joining us. And now, it is with great pleasure that we welcome our Kiwanis North Shore Housing Society, and I should tell members of the public that members of council had the opportunity today to tour the beautiful new building on 22nd, and our sincere thanks to Stefan and members of the board who I believe, yes, they're here as well. And former Mayor Ron Wood is with us this evening. Good to see you back there.
Okay.
So thank you again for taking the time. It was a wonderful tour today. It's going to be a beautiful facility, and thank you. And we're very excited with what you're going to be telling us tonight.
Okay. Yeah, first of all, thank you, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to give you an update about the progress of our housing development. For everyone who is unaware of, Kiwanis North Shore Housing is building a 156-unit family building on 22nd, just behind the ice ring on 22nd Avenue. And tonight I would like to give an update on the progress. So Kiwanis is originally known for serving West Vancouver as a senior housing provider. We're serving the community since 1953, so over 70 years now, and have obviously established quite a bit of expertise in developing, but also managing our housing portfolio, specifically serving seniors, independent seniors, and helping them to stay independent as long as possible. In 2021, so 4 years ago, we answered the call from the district in expanding our portfolio into a terrain which will be new for us, and that's family housing. So Village West, our project that I'm talking about tonight, is the first housing project for families and workers for our organization. So we are expanding our reach and expanding the community that we are able to serve. We have chosen a very, very good team of development partners, and we started construction in November of 2022. So the original timeline was to be ready by approximately March of 2026. As you can see, and everyone who has drove by, we are making tremendous progress. We are ahead of schedule. At this point, we are anticipating to be 4 to 5 months earlier than originally anticipated, meaning providing units 4 to 5 months earlier. So here's a little breakdown.
Agreed.
A little breakdown with some numbers. So we have 2 buildings, a larger L-shaped building and a rectangular building with 60 units. Part of this development will also be that we are providing space for an adult day center that is currently in our court building. This one will be much larger, 3 times larger, 3,000 square foot, and will be operated by Vancouver Coastal Health. You see that we are providing the full range of unit types, all the way from studios up to 3 bedrooms. And if you make the math, the majority of units are 2 and 3 bedroom units. So this is in line with what the district wanted to see, housing for families and workers in the community. The rates, the rental rates, are very, very affordable. The rental rates we are seeing here on this slide will be the initial rates, which currently are around 70% of market. We have a housing agreement which stipulates rents not higher than 75%, and we are very happy to announce today that these rents are well below, so increasing the level of affordability for families and workers. The range, again, is starting at $1,259 for a studio and all the way up to $3,300. But to put it in context, a 3-bedroom unit of that size, of about 1,075 square foot, the market rate for that is around $5,000, right? And we are able to provide this unit at a price point of $3,300. So that's our commitment to the community. The eligibility criteria shown here will make sure that the units will be made available for its intended audience. So the targeted tenants are people who are living, working, or having ties to West Vancouver. Yeah, if you have lived here in West Vancouver, if you are work in West Vancouver, or if you have a kid in school in West Vancouver, that's one of the criteria. Another one is income limits, not owing property and asset limits that will be stipulated on the tenants. So tenants who apply for one of these units will have to fulfill these criteria in order to become tenants of ours. Since we are very advanced with our construction, we are going to provide the community, and in particular first responders and teachers and workers from the District of West Vancouver with the first opportunity to apply. We are going to be putting out application forms as early as March of this year, and then going to process applications from first responders, from firefighters, and from district workers and teachers as early as July. So that's not far out. These units will be attractive for a lot of people, and we want to process them and give the opportunity as soon as possible. Again, the progress here is not just only getting the building ready, but getting us as organization ready, because our efforts don't stop with welcoming the first tenant. Our efforts go beyond. Kiwanis is committed to continue serving by managing the building. So we will be in it for 60 years at least, the expected lifespan of the property, and will be working together with you, the district, and other community partners to provide affordable housing. Thank you.
Stefan, thank you so much. And on behalf of all of the municipal employees, our firefighters, police officers, and those who work for the school district, our most sincere thanks. This kind of housing opportunity will most certainly help younger people in particular who want to work here but are limited by the fact they have to travel a long distance. So our most sincere thanks. Councillor Watt.
Yeah, thank you so very much. And it's thrilling that you're so far ahead. I just have a couple of questions. So the income caps, they are quite high. So there's obviously a lot of people that are requiring this form of housing within our community. So if you, say, have two relatively equal applicants, would the applicant that may have fewer financial resources, lower salaries, have a priority? Or how will that work? Because $160,000 being one of the upper caps, and I can't remember for the smaller units what it was, 80 or 86?
106.
106.
Yeah.
So surely there's going to be a lot of people more in the 50 to 80,000, and would they be prioritized over somebody making 105,000?
So first of all, the building is not receiving any subsidies, operational subsidies from anywhere. So we rely obviously on these revenues. So when we make decisions about good tenants, we always consider how much of their income goes towards rent and utilities. We are reluctant to engage with tenants when the income is too low, or when the threshold of 50% of their income paying rent and utilities is succeeded. So we need obviously a certain amount of income for people to afford these units, to pay, let's say, $2,200 for two-bedroom units. But we will not necessarily prioritize the lower brackets of income. We are processing the applications as they come in.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. So we're all very excited about seeing this come on the market. And you said you're going to be receiving applications perhaps as early as July. How do you plan to make those applications available to the public? Through what channels?
Yeah, so the application form is in development. It will be ready early March. We will share application forms with community partners. We will have our application form on the website. We're in the process of creating a separate website specifically, which will be linked with our Kiwanis website as well. And the application can be downloaded there.
Excellent, thank
Yeah,
you.
that's an easy process, and we will have application forms readily available in form of print, and will provide community partners with application forms.
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks very much. Councillor Gambioli.
Thank you. So I got a couple of questions, but first I just want to say it's been many years that we've been working on this project, and I'm only involved at the policy level, but my experience with this project is that your organization has been such a pleasure to work with as a partner on this. I just, from beginning till now, I just am so impressed, and I cannot believe that you're this far ahead of schedule. I don't understand how a nonprofit that is going to be able to, pull this off essentially, right after COVID with all the inflationary pressures, and, most of the for-profit developers can't pull this kind of stuff off, even on time and on budget. So you guys have got the magic sauce for sure. And the tour today was really inspiring. So I really look forward to when the building's completely done and people are moving in. So I just wanted to ensure that in your presentation you mentioned first responders, municipal staff, and teachers. But I just want to make sure that the teachers is a little bit wider than just that. Probably you're going to have discussions with the school board, because I think it would be better to say school board staff, right? Because otherwise you're excluding administrators and educational assistants and very important staff like that, including janitors. I'm on the PAC at our school, and I know how important they are. So I throw that out for you. And then my question was, we've been used to over the history that I can remember always having rent increases, but I've been reading recently that in fact some of the rents are starting to come down in Toronto and Vancouver. So what happens with our agreement if the average rent in the Lower Mainland actually comes down? What happens to the agreement with your tenants?
Yeah, in this case, it's covered in the housing agreement. In this case, either the rent stays flat and will not be increased, or in some cases it will be decreased.
Well, that's unheard of.
Yes, it is. So there is a threshold in the housing agreement, but it is indeed, if the rents are going down at a specific rate, then we are obligated to decrease our rents. So there are all things considered in the housing agreement to make sure that the affordability level is secured, not just for the initial phase, but for the duration of the contract. And we have a lease agreement with the district which is for 60 years. So this is our commitment. Again, our organization is prepared, and we have built the capacity. And in terms of the secret sauce, what it makes possible to deliver a $96 million project, this is how much it costs, on time, or ahead of time and on budget, is strong partners, right? The district has been a phenomenal partner in this. The province has been a partner with BC Housing, providing financing and grants, and a development team. But last but not least, we have an incredible team of board members who are extremely supportive, right? So without the board, and some of them are here tonight, this would have not been made possible.
Mm-hmm. My last question, you just made me think of it, is that I understand your board, with the foresight they have, has just approved solar panels for the entire building as well, which is a bit of foresight, which will bring down your operating costs.
Yeah, not only that. Kiwanis has the goal of being sustainable as much as possible, and the solar panel project will help us to achieve that, not just only covering portions of the electricity bill, but bringing down our footprint significantly. And this solar project, which will go up on our roof, will be the largest by capacity. So we have a very modern set of solar panels, and they produce quite a number of power, a high level of power, and it will be the most efficient one on the North Shore so far.
Thanks very much. Councillor Cassidy.
Thank you very much for your presentation, and thank you very much for your tour today. I walk by that building regularly on my way to Pauline Johnson School. And one of the things I wanted to comment and compliment your workers, they don't leave trash everywhere. I have seen other projects, because I'm one of these people that just drives me nuts when I see people's garbage, like your mother isn't around to pick it up anymore. So I please compliment them on that. So I just wanted some further clarification of a point that I either heard correctly or not. So you said when you were selecting the various individuals to occupy the building that you didn't want someone who'd be paying 50% of their salary or more to occupy the building. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, because a lot of people who may well be working, for example, for the district in various departments, and perhaps a starting salary would be making somewhere probably in the 50-odd thousand, low 60s. So for some of these rents, it may well be half their salary. And that's one of the reasons why they would have wanted to go into affordable housing in the first place, is because they can't afford the rents in non-affordable housing.
A threshold of 50% is what we are currently using. If you are spending more than 50% of your income towards rent and utilities, then the disposable income is so little that there's a high risk of not being able to pay rent.
However, these are district employees, so if they don't pay the rent, you can garnish their wages.
Well, I think we should leave this management decision up to the Kiwanis, though.
I'm just saying there's an assuredness, financially speaking, with a district employee versus a member of the public. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
We certainly hope that you'll give first consideration to our municipal staff, and I trust you will. Councillor Cassidy, could I ask you to make a motion to receive the report, please?
Yes. I recommend that the Kiwanis North Shore Housing Society presentation be received for information with thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Snyder? All in favor? Contrary carried. Again, thank you so much, and thanks again for that tour today.
Thank you.
We'll move now to item number 6. Councillor Snyder, please. Amendment to fees and charges.
Yes, so just, I'll make the recommendation at this point, and if there's any discussion, happy to do so. I'd like to recommend that the proposed fees and charges, bylaw number 5334, 2024, amendment bylaw number 5371, 2025, be read for a first, second, and third time.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson?
Second that.
Thank you. And this is simply to amend the parking rates for 2026. So West Vancouver residents will not pay for parking. Councillor Cassidy.
I believe this is 2025.
2025. I'm getting ahead of myself. 2025. Thank you. Councillor Cassidy.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you very much, Ms. Muller, for everything you've done thus far. As you know, I've been basically screaming for a good few years on bringing in pay parking. I hate to see money go out the door. So one of the issues and the reason that we were put forward in the beginning for this sum of $20, and then, of course, the $7 is for the various taxes that are out there, was initially to help us with the implementation of the program, the startup costs. So my understanding is that one of the issues that we have is there are a number of individuals who basically don't understand the app or are very uncomfortable with using an app, and that we may well be looking at other, in addition to perhaps, other devices to facilitate the payment. Is this correct?
Thank you.
Through the mayor to Councillor Cassidy, that's correct. We're looking at some newer technologies, for a sort of kiosk function where it doesn't require excavation. It's just sort of a drop in place, and we could either buy them up front or rent them through the operator. So staff are looking at that. Yes.
Thank you. So in essence, you could go back and use the term, that is startup costs again, correct? Because we're starting up a more user-friendly model. So in essence, we're doing exactly the same as we did the first time. We need money to assist us with the next model.
Through the mayor to Councillor Cassidy, I'm not sure.
In other words, I don't want to eat into the profit that we made thus far. That what I would still like is assistance, not from the profit, to help us with the new model is what I'm referring to.
Through the mayor to Councillor Cassidy, so there's an operating cost associated with having that function, whether it be through a rental, through the operator, or an upfront cost. I'm not sure.
In essence, what I'm trying to say is that this $27 is of use in the startup, in us continuing to start up with a new model.
I'm not sure staff has a comment on that.
Yeah.
Well,
not really sure.
Sorry, I guess
in
if
other
what
words,
you're asking is...
in other words, what we're going to be doing, if we do away with some semblance of more funds coming in with this $27, is we'll be funding any further startup through our profits that we've generated thus far.
Well, I think
so.
It would be
That's correct. There is a cost associated with introducing that function. Having said that, if we look at the revenue generated through the resident permits versus the overall pay parking, it represents a fairly small percentage of the overall revenue.
And how much is that? About 35,000?
For the resident permits I think the first 10 and a half months was roughly 35,000, and the overall program, I think last I checked, it was closer to about 600,000. I can certainly get back to you with those exact numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gambioli.
So, yeah, I've got a number of questions. So, the process, as Councillor Cassidy said, of getting the permit was a bit of a pain because I did it myself, finally gave it to my husband to deal with. But under this proposed revision, would a resident still have to go and do that process and kind of get the permit for nothing, for zero?
Yes.
That's correct. But we are looking at to make it a little bit easier from an administrative perspective. It is administered through the operator to make the permits valid for 2 years. And so, the only reason that you would have to maybe re-register is if your vehicle plates changed. So there's no eliminating that process.
No, right. You still have to use that process. Otherwise, if you don't use that process, you have to go and pay.
That's correct.
To the park and pay. Do you know whether, I know North Van District charges at Lynn Canyon Park, do they have this sort of two-tiered system?
The last I spoke with staff at the District of North Van, they don't offer any exemptions.
Right, so they don't offer any exemptions, and have we ever had any discussions with them about why they don't offer any exemptions? I'm sure they've been asked.
I have, and for the ease of administration, they've just kept it simple. Now, having said that, there is a resident permit, so I guess that is a form of exemption. But there's no free parking, as it were.
There's a resident permit, so a little bit like what we're
Yeah.
doing for a certain, a different price point. Okay, so they're doing the same, we're doing the same as them. They started before us. So, okay, so if I'm doing my math correctly, 30, I thought the number in the report was closer to 32,000, but anyways, I did the math. It seems like about 1,000 or 1,100 residents or households or cars, then if you do the math, have bought these $27 passes. So that means, by my calculation, about 90% of West Van residents have not bought the passes. We have
you can register more than one pass per vehicular plate per household, so
Right.
I'm not
Okay,
sure.
so maybe even more than 90%. Anyway, my point is 90% of people haven't done it, according to my calculation. So, okay, all right. And so we're looking at losing the 32,000 or 35,000, whatever it is in the, and again, this cost only applies to 3 of our parks in the district. And how many parks do we have, approximately?
I would
Ms.
defer to
Kettler.
40 plus?
Sorry?
40 plus
40,
parks.
50, yeah.
40
Many
or
parks.
50 parks where people can go. So really, this only applies to less than 10% of the number of, we can go to any other parks for free and park for free. Okay. Thank you. Then that's all my questions. That's
Thank
not all
you.
I have to say, though.
Okay, Councillor Snyder, please.
Yes, I mean, I guess I sort of see where Councillor Cassidy is going with this. I look at it on a different point of view, and that is that, you know, the community, the residents in West Vancouver already pay, as we hear on a regular basis, significant property taxes, and we know that these go into all sorts of different things, including our parks and recreations. So the community is already paying for the use of these parks, and so from my perspective, to provide free parking to West Vancouver residents, I think is not really a reward, it's just an appreciation that they already pay for these services in West Vancouver through their taxes. So I think that's part of the reason that I'm fully in support of reducing the fee from $20 to $0. It seems like we're starting to nitpick every single spot we can to take further monies away from the residents in West Van. So my perspective is that's why we're looking to change this to $0 from $20.
And you did make the motion, didn't you?
I did.
You did. It's moved and seconded. I'll now go to Councillor Watt.
Yeah, so there's no way for us to issue passes, like as somebody who lives in Horseshoe Bay, I get my residence parking pass each year. So there's no way that we could do that where they've just got that decal that you put in the windshield.
My understanding, through the mayor to Councillor Watt, my understanding is I think the operator relies on plate readers,
License plate.
and so the decal doesn't really factor into that sort of approach.
And, like Councillor Snyder and others, I do support this. And to one of the comments that Councillor Gambioli made, that it's only 3 parks, but the intent of this is to expand further. So I view the $25, $30, $35, whatever $1,000 cost of going forward, should we remove that to $0 as not a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. Because, from what I understand, should we expand into Ambleside Park and potentially others, there's another $1 million in revenue a year. So I firmly believe that our residents should be able to use these parks. And it should also be noted that when COVID came along, a lot more people came from the outside using our local parks, and that hasn't dissipated. So, it's becoming more untenable for us to maintain parks at the enjoyment of people from the outside. So I prefer to allow our residents to continue to use them without a cost.
Thank you, Councillor Watt. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. Are there, did Councillor Gambioli have more questions or just comments? Okay, because I'm just going to make comments at this point. And, you know, to go further to Councillor Snyder's ideology about why he and I brought this forward, it's taken a while to get paid parking into our parks. And to Councillor Watt's point, COVID really triggered this demand in our community for our beautiful parks, because they are beautiful, but what it created was this increased demand for washroom services and garbage collection, and without that our parks were actually getting pretty disgusting. And the real push to put these parking fees in place are in fact to be able to increase that service to the people who come to our parks. And I think we all agreed that it was good to start on a level playing field with the fees that we did incur, but it's become so much more lucrative than we could have imagined. And I really believe that we already do pay our taxes as residents to upkeep these parks. You know, I have to say there's one other little trigger in me that really feels it's important to bring forward. And we're bringing it forward at this timing because a year ago, February is when we actually started the fees. And we figured this is a place to start in February so people don't start renewing their passes. And that way we capture our residents who've already paid once. We're not going to be giving refunds, I believe. So if you've just bought a pass recently, you're going to endure a year. But I think it's worth a shot. We can always reestablish it if we feel like we're losing too much money. I believe over the next while, and it's going to take it's very complicated, so it's going to take a lot of work to figure out who has exemptions, such as employees versus residents, handicap, people who don't have apps. There's a lot of things we have to work out, as well as where we might else implement it. There's also the technology that may evolve over time. I think Councillor Snyder and I brought this forward with the intent of let's just sit down, give the residents a break. Again, that little thing that really tweaked me into this is with the onset of the wastewater treatment plant fees, we as a North Shore are being burdened with this extra tax that we just can't seem to do anything about. And I just feel that we should be trying to ease the burden a little bit as much as we can on our residents. So I feel very good about going forward with this and seeing where it gets us. And yeah, I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Councillor Gambioli.
Well, yeah, I see it's appealing to be able to say that we should not require any fees from West Van residents, and that's politically appealing. However, I think that, you know, the original intent was to garner some revenue, but also to discourage people from arriving by car without thinking about it, making it so easy to, sort of overwhelm our parks. And I don't think that, that West Van residents should be exempted. It's essentially a fee-for-service model. And I think that we use that model in pretty much every other context that we can. So I think that it's a tough decision, and it's not going to look good, but I really think it's a small amount to pay, and I think it only relates to 3 parks at the moment. And as we've heard, there are between more than 30 or 40 other parks that people can choose to go to that have no fees. And we don't pay a lot in property taxes. We don't pay more than other municipalities. So I think any municipality could say the same thing. And I think we would find ourselves, going to North Vancouver, going to Vancouver already charges for everyone. I'm not sure. I don't think they have exemptions for their own residents. And so I think that sort of starts to create this 2-tiered system, which I don't think is appealing. We can't afford, even with our current property taxes, to maintain our parks, especially the parking areas specifically of the parks, if you've been to Lighthouse Park recently. So I think that each user should contribute, especially if they come by car. It may make me unpopular, but I think that I can't support this at the moment.
Thank you, Councillor Gambioli. I think we've had a good discussion. There is a motion on the table. Sorry, Councillor Cassidy. Oh,
Right.
Did I miss you? Sorry.
Well, yes, I don't know if you missed me, but anyway, I'm here. So, first of all, I think this is premature. These various groups that came to speak to us today, if we handed them a check for $32,000 or $35,000, they'd say, wow, thank you very much. And there are organizations that have come to us asking for 25 or 40,000. So maybe in the scheme of 500-odd thousand or 600-odd thousand, that $32,000 or $37,000 is chump change. But in my world, it isn't chump change. It's a lot of money to some other organization. And as we proceed through these other various parks, as we continue to roll out, we're going to have continued administration costs. So again, I think it's premature. I think that West Vancouver residents, we're talking $27, can assist in the administration costs. When the day is done, then we can re-examine the situation. And I would potentially think that perhaps we haven't had the massive uptake in buying these parking passes because 45 to 46% of the population live in the Ambleside and Dunderave neighborhood. And when they go to the park, whether it's Ambleside, John Lawson, Dunderave, even further out, going all the way out to West Bay, they walk. And that's one of the reasons they live in Ambleside and Dunderave is the walkability factor. So the individuals who may well be going to the other, to Whitecliff Park or Lighthouse Park, they may well be visitors to our community, or for the 1,000-odd passes we've sold, residents in that neck of the woods. So, that's sort of what I'm thinking. I think it's inordinately premature, and I think that as we have a fiduciary responsibility to cover our costs, and then, as I said, when we finish the process, then we can look at it again and address whether or not we want to take the sum off. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cassidy. If there's no further discussion, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Contrary? Councillors Cassidy and Gambioli contrary, the motion carries. We'll now move to item number 7. Councillor Thompson, please.
Are we going to have a presentation at all with staff?
Is anybody here to make a presentation? No? Sorry.
There is no presentation that I'm aware of, but just to let you know, we do have 3 members of the public that signed up to speak to this item. There is actually a 4th name, but I don't know what it says. Stefan, perhaps, or Stephen.
Okay, well, I think, Councillor Thompson, as you're the one that brought this forward, could you introduce it and just explain a little bit for the members of the public?
Yeah, absolutely. So, bringing this motion forward, we be the 3rd of the 3 North Shore municipalities to support this motion. I believe the speakers will give a lot of good background and insights to why we should be considering this as a council, and I'd like to actually just give them the floor and hear more about your insights.
Thank you. Just so everyone understands, this is a motion for West Vancouver to support what is known as the Living Donor Circle of Excellence, and it is setting up the ability to assist any staff who might donate a vital organ, and we're grateful. And who would be the first speaker from the public?
Dr. Jag Gill.
Dr. Gill, thank you for joining us this evening.
Good evening. Thank you very much. Okay, thanks very much.
Keep his
This
mic
microphone,
on.
there we go.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you
Gill.
for the opportunity. My name is Jag Gill. I live in Dunderave in West Van. I'm here to provide some context. In my role, I'm a transplant physician and medical director of the kidney transplant program at St. Paul's Hospital. Along with Vancouver General, we provide all of the transplant services for the province. I'm also president currently of the Canadian Society of Transplantation, and we've been involved in this initiative nationally and internationally. So I wanted to just give you some context in terms of why we're strongly supportive, obviously, of this initiative. So in terms of that context, roughly 1 in 10 British Columbians are living with kidney disease. Many people don't appreciate the magnitude of this disease and how widespread it is. There's between 4,000 to 5,000 people currently in the province sustaining their life with dialysis, which sustains your life but does not give you a quality of life that is very great. And so they're living with a lot of struggle. The best treatment for anyone with kidney failure is a kidney transplant. And if we could, we transplant every single one of those 5,000 people. The challenge we have, like every other jurisdiction in the world, is a supply-demand issue. We have way more people that need a transplant than there are available organs. And the most common source of our organs currently is through deceased donors, so people who donate their organs after death. To give you a sense, the benefits of transplantation are significant compared to dialysis. People will live longer, they'll have a much better quality of life, they can return to work, and it's cost effective, much more so than expensive dialysis. In terms of the average wait time for someone on dialysis, in our province it's about 3 years, which is shorter than most places, but it's still 3 years too long for people who are suffering on dialysis. In BC, I think one of the major challenges that we have is that we have a geographically broad place, and so it's challenging for people to access dialysis in many rural and remote communities, making transplant that much more important. Now, remarkably, despite doing 300 and 350 transplants a year, we always have about 500 to 600 people active on our wait lists waiting. And so we need a way to improve donation rates and to get this. And in our province, between 100 to 110 people every single year come forward as living kidney donors. They're literally giving an organ of themselves to help another person. These individuals will not gain anything. This is a purely altruistic act. They're helping their friends, they're helping their loved ones, and in many cases they're helping strangers just coming forward to donate a kidney. They go through a series of testing, a series of investigations to make sure it's a safe option for them, and they do that on their own time.
That's time, sir.
Oh, we'll
Yeah,
keep
please
Dr.
continue.
Okay,
Gill,
I'll
please.
keep it brief. They'll undergo the surgery, and then they have a convalescence and recovery period that lasts between 4 to 8 weeks. And one of the greatest challenges these people face is that they don't have there's no mechanism to reimburse people for lost wages during that recovery period. That's where the Living Donor Circle of Excellence program comes in. This is a program that was initiated by the American Society of Transplantation in partnership with the Canadian Society of Transplantation and the BC Kidney Foundation BC branch of the Kidney Foundation of Canada. The premise is that it basically acknowledges institutions and corporations that will provide wage recovery for people that come forward and donate their organs. So employers will support their employees for between 4 to 6 weeks of wage coverage during that time. It's been a very successful program. We've had corporations as large as Home Depot Canada sign on, and many districts, as we heard, including North Vancouver, most recently, that have come forward. So I'll end there, and happy to answer questions if people have any, but those are my comments, and I just want to say that I thank you for bringing this forward. This is obviously close to my heart and many people in the province, and as a West Van resident, I'm very, very proud that this motion has been brought forward.
Thank you, Dr. Gill. We appreciate you coming this evening. Thank you, sir. And the next speaker is?
The next speaker is Rob McKay Dunn.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thanks so much for having us. My name's Rob McKay Dunn. I'm here with my beautiful wife, Alexis.
Thank you both.
We both live in Eagle Harbor with our little kiddos. I drew the short straw, so I get to speak, and I'll try and motor through this as quickly as possible. Two things from us this evening. Really want to share our experience living with kidney disease as a family, as well as to encourage the District of West Van to join other leading governments in becoming a member of the Living Donor Circle of Excellence. Our family's journey began with Allie surprisingly diagnosed with kidney disease during the pregnancy of our first child, Hayden, back in 2018. It came as a complete shock. Up until then, Allie was completely full of energy, athletic. You'd have absolutely no idea there was anything living inside of her trying to fight her kidneys off. Excuse me. Despite the incredible medical care, we have some of the best nephrologists anywhere in North America, right here in the center of excellence within Vancouver. Despite all that and the joy of welcoming our 2 little kiddos into the world, Allie's kidneys simply couldn't keep up. They went into failure, requiring dialysis in 2021, which meant being away from our family for 5 hours a day, 3 days a week. And you can imagine that with a couple little kiddos, not to mention work and everything else. So with Allie's body shutting down, the race was on for us to find a living kidney donor. Now, if you're fortunate enough to find a selfless angel, and we were, that is willing to try to donate a kidney to you, there's a number of hurdles they need to overcome. First, you need to be the right blood match. Second, your donor needs to be in excellent health and undertake an extensive health screen as to not create any complications for their own well-being or for the health system writ large. If you pass that stage, a more detailed analysis is done to ensure compatibility and a successful transplant. Now, the majority of interested donors don't typically make it to that stage even, having been screened out for various reasons along the way. And if you do make it through the end of that maze, there's a massive question of whether or not a donor can afford to be off work, potentially missing paychecks and their benefits. And of course, as we're all very, very aware, there's very few people that can afford to be away from work and away from paychecks these days. Fortunately for us, months into our search, Allie's amazing donor, Sandra, was identified as the preferred donor, and the relief really set in as we learned that she didn't have to worry about the burden of potentially missing paychecks or her benefits. As we learned, her employer, Alberta Health Services, would cover all of her wages and benefits during recovery because they were a member of the Circle of Excellence. I can't instill you enough about the relief that takes over the recipient's family, because you're already thanking and owing this person so much for being so selfless. The fact that you also have the confidence knowing that they're not going to be out of pocket puts you in a whole different mindset at a very difficult time. So since Allie's transplant and learning about this life-saving program, we've been very fortunate to do everything we possibly can to work with our colleagues and advocates to encourage other employers to join the Circle of Excellence. And we've had tremendous success, and Megan will speak about that a little bit later. Our own employers got involved. The provincial government and their 40,000 employees signed on last year. The program is really a no-brainer. It saves lives, and it's the support any progressive employer would give anyway, with very minimal cost.
That's time, sir.
Feel free, but we're going to make a special occasion this evening.
Thank you. I'll be very, very quick. We're asking employers to be proactive and help raise awareness and do what they would already do if one of their employees came to them. You'd ask them, how can we help? And if they said, I need a little bit of time and support, you say, absolutely. Like, you'd be all in there. So we're asking employers to step up. Now, unfortunately, Allie's type of kidney disease is one that can and has reappeared in her new kidney. And so we're just beginning this process again. And seeing more and more employers sign on to the Circle gives us and many more like us that are part of our kidney community, give us hope that there are that ability to find those additional angels who will be able to give the gift of life with the support of their employers. So in closing, I just want to thank you so much for having us, considering this important motion, and to Councillor Thompson for not only taking an interest in us and our story, but bringing the motion forward tonight. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thanks for sharing that with us.
The next name on the list is Megan Owen Evans.
Good evening, Ms. Owens. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening, Mayor and Councillors. Thank you for having me. As mentioned, my name is Megan Owen Evans. I'm a resident of Port Moody. However, I am a proud graduate of West Vancouver High, so I do have some roots here. I was also a GU once, Councillor Cassidy. I lived in Lions Bay for a while, even more so. Yeah, thank you. I'm the president of Neptune Terminals in North Vancouver. Neptune is a proud member of the Circle of Excellence. This is an initiative that's I'm extremely passionate about because I'm a two-time organ donor. So my journey began in 2013. I donated a kidney. At that time, I was not in the same financial position I'm in now. Circle of Excellence did not exist. Thankfully, I had an amazing employer who stepped up and said, we will cover your wages for the time that you will be away, for surgery, for recovery. And I went through with the procedure and donated a kidney. Fast forward to 2020, and I became president of FibroCo on the North Shore. And I had, during that time, become aware of the Circle of Excellence and starting to get that initiative moving. So FibroCo signed on to be a member of the Circle of Excellence. And I didn't know it at that time, but a year and a half later, I would end up being utilizing the program myself because I donated 2/3 of my liver late 2022. For that procedure, I had to travel to Toronto for the testing, for surgery, for recovery. You can imagine a fair bit of time involved in all of that. And, thankfully I was in a better position financially. However, you're already incurring all the costs of travel. Some of that can be reimbursed through government programs, not all of it. So to add the burden of 4 to 6 weeks off work, it's just a lot to ask of somebody who's already going through the physical procedure that they're going through. And then over a year ago, I became president of Neptune, and one of the first things I did was also join the Circle. Since then, I've been working with this amazing group of people, really spreading the word around the waterfront employers to get companies to join. It's really gained some traction, and now more recently, the city of North Vancouver, where Neptune is located, and the district as well. So we're really, really hopeful that the District of West Van will join and the North Shore will be, leaders in this province for the municipalities in the Circle of Excellence. And it just go from there. I do have a meeting with Port Moody, so they're on my radar. That's in February. But yeah, that's my story. And I, as a donor, really understand that extra burden, and reducing the financial barrier is just huge. I think it will really increase the donor pool for people like Alexis who really need it.
Thanks so much, and thank you for being truly a remarkable individual.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And open to any questions if any of you have any.
I think you've said it all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
The next name on the list, I believe, is Stefan Barn, but I'm not sure if that person signed up for this item or not. And I don't see a person
Is there anybody
responding
else?
to that name, so I either mispronounced it horribly, or we'll go to the next name, John McMillan, also for this item. So that's the end of the names on this list.
Anybody else? Okay, Councillor Snyder.
Thank you. I just wanted to expand a little bit on Councillor Thompson's comment here, and the reason that I agreed to second this motion. Thank you, first of all, for your story, sharing your stories with us tonight. I think it's a very small price to pay for the district to step up and try and help relieve some of the burden and the financial strains on our donors. I can't imagine the numbers in the district of West Vancouver are going to be significantly big, but all it takes is one person to make this a valuable experience for everybody. So from my perspective, I'm happy to second this motion moving forward.
Thanks very much. Councillor Watt?
Yes, thank you so much for bringing this forward. And I just had a question for Dr.
Gill.
Yeah, Gills, I apologize. How often is there a familial match? Yeah.
It depends on the disease, and it depends on the specific medical scenarios. If you look at all of our living kidney donors, about half are biological relatives, and the other half are unrelated.
That's good to know, thanks. And I'm asking that for personal reasons.
Sure.
I've got a sweet little niece who's 10, and about a year ago she flew very, very close to the sun, and it's really important what you guys are doing, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Gambioli.
I've also got a quick question for the doctor. I noticed that in the motion it says at the beginning, whereas an increasing number of Canadians have incurable kidney disease, why do an increasing number have incurable kidney disease? Why is it increasing?
So part of it is increasing epidemics of diseases like diabetes and hypertension, which are the leading causes of kidney disease in many. There's a rise in autoimmune conditions. That's another important cause. So it's a combination of those factors. And also I think there's been improvement in our ability to identify people with earlier kidney disease. So it's probably been there to some extent, but we'd only seen the tip of the iceberg. And incurable because there's sadly only a very small proportion of kidney diseases that actually have a cure. The vast majority will progress.
Thank you, Dr. Gill. Councillor Thompson. Oh, sorry, Councillor Cassidy.
I just have a question for you. What at present is the waiting time should you be on a list, you don't have a family match, and you're just waiting? What would you say the length of time is, please?
It's an average of 3 years.
3 years. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
Councillor
well,
Thompson,
yeah.
have you read the motion yet?
I haven't yet.
Okay, let's read the motion.
You want me to, well, do you want me to read it all out or just as
Well,
written?
there is a motion before you,
Yes,
I hope, and
I
it
know.
is a motion to support this wonderful circle of excellence. And I
Okay.
think we can take it as written.
We can, and of course, I have a few comments I'd like to make. And first of all, thank you.
Can I just ask for a seconder?
Oh,
Seconded. Thank you, Councillor
okay.
Thompson.
Yes, thank you. First of all, thank you to all of the speakers who've come out. It's really inspiring and touching to hear your stories. And, in learning about the Mackay Dunn story, it's extraordinary. It's not only the disease itself, it's just, honestly, it comes down to a lot of uncertainty, unknowns, whether it's timing, what could go right, what could go wrong. And you start to bear the load with them. And I actually don't mind sharing, ironically, coincidentally enough, my daughter is dealing with a partner who is due to have a kidney removed, not replaced, but removed this morning at 7 a.m. And they live out east in Toronto. They're 28 years old, the couple. They live out east. To prepare for this, it's been such a mental, emotional journey. And to prepare for this weekend ahead, people flew out. My daughter made arrangements with work to take time off to care for her partner. Last night, they got a call saying it was canceled indefinitely. Hopefully a week or two, but even that, there's just so much, wow. You're reeling. And one of the first things I reached out to my daughter, she goes, don't worry, I've checked in with work. They're all cool. They're going to help. They're going to support me. And of course, there's so many other things to think about. But it really is quite an upload. And I'm telling you these things because, a comment was made when we were talking about pay parking and this relief and this sense that it might be driven from a political need or a popularity contest. And I think it's actually our duty to sit up here in a circle and think of ways to improve the quality of life of our residents, if we have that opportunity. And it's not just to say we're going to go in for a popularity contest. It is, we need to take opportunities to take down barriers that stop us from helping each other. So I can't say anything more inspiring and wonderful than you've already offered us. I'm so proud to bring this forward, and with the support of my colleague, Councillor Snyder, and I'd love to call the vote on this.
We'll call a question. Question's been called. All those in favor? Contrary, it carries unanimously, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. Very, very grateful to everybody. We'll now move to bylaws, item number 8. This is regarding 737 20th Street. And I just have to ask, did anybody sign up to speak to this? Well, that's lucky, because under these new procedures, we're not allowed to have anybody speak to it. So I'll turn it over to Councillor Watt, please.
So I would like to recommend that proposed zoning bylaw number 4662-2010, amendment bylaw number 5279-2025 be read a first time.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor
Yeah.
Thompson.
And that zoning bylaw number 466.
Sorry, I'm just going to call the question. All
Yes.
those in favor? Contrary, the motion's carried.
Jumping
Councillor
a little
Watt.
ahead. And I'd like to recommend that proposed zoning bylaw number 4662-2010, amendment bylaw number 5279-2025 be read a second time.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson.
I'll second that.
Question, all in favor? Contrary, carried. Thanks very much. I will now move.
And-
Sorry, there's one more. Right, I turned the page. Councillor Watt.
And that proposed zoning bylaw number 4662, 2010, amendment bylaw number 5279, 2025 be read a third time.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson. Second. Question, all in favor? Contrary, carried. Thank you. And extending a temporary outdoor business area, Councillor Cassidy, please.
I recommend that third reading of proposed fees and charges bylaw number 5334, 2024, amendment bylaw number 5372, 2025 be rescinded.
Thank you. Councillor Watt.
Second that.
Question, all in favor? Contrary, carried. Thank you.
I recommend the proposed fees and charges bylaw number 5334, 2024, amendment bylaw number 5372, 2025 be modified at Schedule A to delete December 31st, 2025 and replace it with December 31st, 2026. And number 2, proposed fees and charges bylaw number 5334, 2024, amendment bylaw number 5372, 2025 be read a third time as modified.
Thank you. Councillor Watt.
I'll second that.
Now call the question. All in favor? Contrary, carried. No new business this evening. We have a consent agenda item. Councillor Gambioli.
So I will recommend that the consent agenda items as follows be approved. Items 11.1 to 11.4.
Thank you. Is there a seconder?
Yeah.
Councillor Cassidy? Okay, no discussion on a consent agenda. Call the question. All in favor? Contrary, carried. And item number 11.5, you wanted to speak to, Councillor?
11.5, I just wanted to note for staff that this is a motion to extend this program for 6 months and talk about e-scooters. And I can't remember, because I've been talking about this at various and sundry meetings, but I can't remember whether I brought it up in public. Our current agreement with Lime Bikes only extends to people who are 18 or older, and it only extends to a geographic area, part of West Vancouver below the highway. And what we found is that it would be of huge benefit if the agreement could be extended to people who are at least 16 or older, because of course it cuts out anyone in the district who goes to high school, which is a bit silly because most of them can't drive yet, and so they would use the bikes, and they do use the bikes, but anyway. So I've been mentioning it in the Traffic and Safety Committee to ask if we can get that agreement, if Lime will agree to change that to a lower age, and also to include the a small geographic area going, I guess, up 15th to enable young people to get up to the school, to Sentinel School. It's the only, it's 1,250 students who could be making use of that program. And they can't use it because of the age and because of the geographic limitation. So anyway, I just wanted to make those comments so that someone notes them down, and we can, hopefully add that to our suggestions for improvements to that agreement.
Thank you, Councillor Gambioli, and certainly it seems crazy if you can drive a vehicle at 16, you can certainly scooter a scooter.
Yeah.
Scoot a scooter. So I think we could move the motion, and I hope staff will take those comments to heart. Mr. Manager.
Yes, through the mayor to Councillor Gambioli. We don't have Ms. Muller here to speak to it, but I will certainly take that away, and happy to accept your recommendation or other decision.
Thank you. I think that'll be sufficient. Councillor Gambioli, could you now move 11.5, please?
Sure. Yes, I will recommend that agenda item 11.5 be approved.
Thank you. Councillor Cassidy? Thank you. Question, all in favor? Contrary, carried. There are no other items, and there's no member of the public here tonight. I would just say, for anyone that is listening, and I think we should ask staff to record this, that council did tonight invite the CAO of Metro Vancouver, who has said he will come, and we will do a special evening. We're subject to his schedule, but sometime in February to talk about the wastewater treatment plant. And I do trust by the time he comes, there will be an announcement regarding the independent audit, which will be forthcoming. I'd also like to report it was a pleasure today to go to a press release with our fellow mayor of the city of North Vancouver and members of the federal government as they announced a $600 million capital funding over the next 10 years for TransLink, which was good news. And with that, anyone else, any reports? Hearing none, could I have a motion to receive my report? Thank you, Councillor Snyder, seconded Councillor Thompson, all in favor, contrary carried. No members of the public. Councillor Watt.
Recommend that the January 27, 2025 meeting be adjourned.
Thank you, Councillor Lambert. Question, all in favor, contrary carried. Thanks, everybody.